there is a picture. This picture has a very, very huge background in terms of art, culture, philosophy, and also the business mindset. So could someone tell me from the crowd, what do you look at in this picture? Like when you look at this picture, whom do you recall of? Like what do you see in this picture? Hello? If you cannot answer me, at least you can just type some messages in the chat so that I can read and understand that you're following. Hello?
Chaitanya, there is a message. An old lady with a scarf.
That's correct. That's great. I don't know why I do not have access to the messages yet, but that's fine. That's great.
Yeah.
So is there any other messages that you are getting at the moment? Could you please transfer those to me?
Yeah.
You can't access, you can't log in.
Uh, a kind of a leaf, Yeah, they're saying.
That's great. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
so
it.
let me.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me reveal it. Business and entrepreneurship, these two words always goes hand by hand, irrespective of what they actually stand in terms of the actual financial world or the global modern world. When you look at this picture, in terms of entrepreneurship, there is one concept called thinking out of the box or looking at the aerial picture up above the high in the sky and then looking at the actual picture on the ground. So if you look carefully from this angle, you would see this as a chin of an old lady. She looks pretty sad, of course, yes. But now try to look from this angle. This represents a beautiful young woman. This is a chin line, followed by a nose, eye, and this as a ear. You see? So in the modern world, there are a lot of opportunities around us, but our mindset is tended to look at what exactly is already fixed in our mind. That is what we call placebo effect. So because of that reason, even though we have a lot of potential inside ourselves, we have we are never able to put forward about our ideas, opinions, etc., etc. That is where the exact problem begins. So I hope that is clear about when I talk about thought process. Now let's look at the other topic now. So why and how? How can a person be an entrepreneur? I think I can also look at the messages. A second. So now we know what exactly an entrepreneur is, and we know how exactly a thought process would work. But what exactly the concept that is going through? Well, it starts in a simple term called problem or a thought. Imagine you take any big industry or any small industry. Let's take an example of Microsoft. So everybody knows about it. Microsoft has actually started to compute the large arithmetic problems into a simple computed solutions to a system, right? That is where exactly the Intel chip corporations, the Microsoft programming methods have come out. So that is what they're actually trying to solve a problem, and there they had a thought. The thought had converted into an idea, and then idea had been implemented, and now that is one of the biggest firm called Microsoft. So similar to that, let us go into a very interesting example called Netflix. So how many of you use Netflix in your regular life?
I think most of the students use Netflix in India today. We
That's
only
good to know,
watch,
yeah.
students only watch content in Netflix. TV is no longer required. So I think how many of you, rather every one of us.
Yeah, that's true. So Netflix is actually one of the biggest platform in America, but right now they're struggling in India due to some issues because we Indians are really smart in avoiding paying money and going into some other platforms where we have a free kind of streaming. Just
Yes,
kidding,
yes.
actually.
But in Netflix reduced their prices from 499 to 199 to beat the Indian
Yes.
price mentality. And I think they've got success now. We are
exactly.
Jugadu, people. We know how to download content from somewhere else and beat the Netflix.
That's
But
true.
still,
That's true.
Netflix being is used. I think you can say roughly around 60% of the youth and urban marginalized people use Netflix.
That's true.
Yeah.
And see, now we have to let's compare two platforms here. Okay, so we have Netflix, which is also a video streaming platform, and even the YouTube is a video streaming platform. But if you look them very closely, you will understand a simple differentiating factor. That is, Netflix has come way before than YouTube through a competitor called Blockbuster. So I know it's a very big story. Let me cut it down for you guys. So Blockbuster is actually an American platform where in the earlier days, you remember in our grandma's house, we used to have a big VCD or VCR players with the big cassettes, so which you have to carry and put it and throw it into the system, and then it throws the film back to us. So in those days, may I ask you a question? Who is the founder of Netflix? Anyone from the crowd?
I don't think so. We know about it. We only know how
Okay.
to use Netflix.
Sure, sure. The session is going to be more interesting in a couple of minutes now. So when he started actually, the Netflix founder, I don't want to reveal the name. So the question is up to you for now. So you have to answer me. We have a quiz following this next slide. So when the founder has actually rented a VCD from the Blockbuster company, so they were renting out the VCDs for a day charge of 10 euros or $12 or something, according to their currencies. But if you cross the given specific time of 24 hours, then you'll be charged hourly on it. So then the founder of Netflix thought this is ridiculous. Like, why should I pay for something which I already own and I'm just delayed for 1 hour or something? Then why I have to pay for the entire day? And then he started thinking, what in case I have to cut down the cost of traveling from my house to going to the VCR station to give back the VCD? Then he had a business plan, and that is where he understand what if the content from the VCD shops is being delivered directly to my house with a very minimal cost. So the thought itself is very vague, and nobody really believed in him or her about the idea because they thought it's really vague. But he challenged himself. He went to the post office just to check how exactly the UPS of US. UPS is actually a postal service in US. To post one VCD to his house and check if it arrives in a proper good shape, without any damages. And it actually pretty well worked. Then he understand, instead of renting the CDs out from somebody else, what if I purchase one CD, keep it with me, and then rent this CD on a website? So whoever wants the CD, they can go to the website, just click on it, pay some money, and your CD will be delivered to your door. And the same way, a delivery guy will come to your door and pick the VCD and it bring back to us. So this is the idea of the Netflix, which was generated in the early of 200s, 2000, sorry. And then the same streaming platform is now one of the biggest VOD, like video on demand. So that is how the entrepreneurship mindset, the ideas have been evolving and progressively growing in terms of modern world. Now let's look at the YouTube. So YouTube is also an American online streaming platform, but they did not start as a renting platform. They just wanted to create a platform across the globe for anybody to upload the content, whatever they feel like uploading. And they are also offering these services for free. So that is the differentiating factor for the YouTube and also the Netflix. So now it's a quiz time. Let's play a fun quiz to understand how well we are notified about the model and problems. So I hope everybody has a smartphone with you all, maybe a smartphone or any device where you can scan a barcode or log into any Chrome or Mozilla Firefox, anything. So here you have a barcode on your screens. Just pick up your smartphone, scan the code, then you will be directly going into a platform called Wooclap. And just there will be some questions which I will reveal sooner, and you will be having options to answer accordingly. So once you have answered those questions, so the winners will be automatically calculated by an algorithm and it will be displayed to you. So let me know once everybody is ready so that we can start the quiz. If you do
We
not
have
have
to
a mobile,
scan this, is it?
yeah, you just have to scan the code. Yeah.
Okay.
And then it will take you to a WooClap platform. Or else you can directly go to web and type www wooclap.com
I
slash,
got through. Yes, it says accept, reject, or customize. Choose a username.
yeah, you have to select
Okay.
your username
Okay.
and then you
Accept.
will directly join. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It says let's play.
Yes. So once I start from my
Okay.
end, then you can see the questions.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, we have logged in.
Okay, cool. So, okay, just a heads up, you will have exactly 20 seconds for every question to answer. So after 20
Yes.
seconds, you cannot answer anymore. So we have only two
Okay.
questions for now.
Fine.
So the
Yeah.
time starts now.
Okay. Who are the founders of the Netflix? Reed Hastings and okay. Done.
Only one, okay, two answers. Only
One
two
more
people
one.
have answered so far.
Actually, because of the problems of the net,
Okay,
we had blocked the meetings. I don't think some students are able to. And me and Professor Anuradha and one more student, we are logging in. She's also trying.
oh, okay. So yes, two people have answered and you have answered correctly. So let's go
Yeah.
for the next question.
Yeah.
The founder of
Founders of YouTube. Yes.
I received one answer.
Mhm. Others are trying in, but they're unable to. Yeah. You just log in. Take the.
It's fine. You cannot vote anymore. Anyway, so sorry, guys.
Yeah. Okay.
Time up.
Fine. Yeah.
Okay, so I think two people have answered correctly for the first question and one person have answered correctly for the second question. So it's just 100 out of 100 ratio. So no need of calculating on this again because of the
Okay.
less participation. So let's
Yeah.
go back to the presentation anyway.
Yeah.
So now we have understood what exactly an entrepreneurship is all about and how exactly it is being done and why the term has come, what exactly it stands in the technical terms of view. So now let's look at why should we adapt to the entrepreneurship and why it is becoming a booming concept. So the 2 points which always catch my eye, one is the freedom flexibility, and you get to be your own boss. So there is a funny saying, if you work 9 to 5 every day, even after promotion, your working hours will be increased from 9 to 8 till evening, but the proportionately your salary will be less. So technically you're working for someone who is making money on your work. So this is a kind of funny saying to inspire young people to come out of their job search mode and be independent on your own thoughts. If you have a thought, follow it, follow your passion, and just prove to the world that you can do something. So this is the two important reasons that why I would say the entrepreneurship is a booming and also the important concept. Let's look at the important cases now. So what drives an entrepreneur? Everybody says, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur maybe down to the line of 5 years. I want to start this company. I want to do this. I want to do this. So I just have this target. So what should I do? But the biggest question is, according to the scientific fact, which is published by BCG recently, so it is stated that you do not remember what you ate 2 days back at certain point of time in your lifespan, just because you had a paradigm shift in your mind. That means human body or the human being tend to forget what exactly their capabilities and potentials are being developed inside or within the body every day. But this is something far from the entrepreneur mindset because they always have a single thought. They always looking for the needs of the business or the people to solve them. And they always build up the passion inside their heart and also in their minds that they have to bring out something, they have to do it. I will give you an example. So how many of you know Nykaa, one of the famous e-commerce beauty and cosmetics brand in India?
Yeah. We are aware of it. Falguni Naik.
Exactly. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look at her history very closely, when she was going through this idea, most of the challenges what she had gone through could be financially, could be emotionally, could be mentally. She just had only one thing in my mind. So my idea, I think it is worth it. I have a strongest academic profile, and I believe in myself, and I'm going to do it. She has been started doing this from 2012, and it was not a smooth road for her from the beginning to the end. No, it was full of ups and downs. There was a lot of, like, the angel investors have rejected their offer for almost 3 to 4 times. She went back fighting for that need. She have reworked on entire marketing and the business plan, and then she's able to be one of the woman biggest entrepreneur in India right now. So these three are the important drivers of an entrepreneur. One is thought, the second one is need, and the third one is passion. Let's try to see and understand. Okay, so you being in Europe, you're just speaking about for almost 20 minutes now, but we don't understand anything. So can you please cut down everything and be straight to the point? So I'm coming there now. There are some misconceptions about entrepreneurship. So many people say successful entrepreneurs needs only a great idea, but in a practical term, the idea itself cannot become into a product or a service or a good, or even even an idea. You know, so when you have an idea, the idea should be backed up by the action to work on it, and you should have the scalability, the measurement, the recognition. You should have a solid plan on what exactly you're doing. So you should have end in mind before you begin. Then only your idea will have a proper structure and you know which way you are going through. So this is a misconception, but idea itself will never work. But actually, idea works. When you have an idea, it kicks you out. I can give an example. When you sit in a classroom, when you get bored, when you take a paper, when you take a pencil, you feel like, okay, you were looking at a blackboard, you try to draw something, and then you got up an idea. So you will sometimes forget what exactly the teacher is talking to you. You just go on drawing what is there in your mind. So that's where the thing which kicks you in, and then your idea will prolong towards an action from your mind. And entrepreneurship is easy. That is the second miscommunication or the misconcept which people believe. No, entrepreneurship is not easy. Out of 100 entrepreneurs, I'm talking about the stats from 2020, 90 were failures. Only 10 were successful. When I say failures, it's not because of their balance sheet was incorrect. It's not because of they couldn't meet their targets. No, that's not the concept. They were failure because they were successful in establishing the business, but they were failure because they couldn't run the business thoroughly in the same way they have begun the enterprise. So this is again one of the biggest misconceptions, which everybody thinks entrepreneurship is easy. No, it is not. And entrepreneurship is a risky gamble. Entrepreneurship is risky. I completely agree on that. But it is not a gamble. Why? Gamble is something you bet on something which is uncertain, where you have a probability test and then you just go on a bet of gut. But entrepreneurship is not like that. It is not a gut feeling. It is not a gamble feeling. No. You have a solid plan. You know what exactly you're heading at. You know what are the things you're taking along. You know how many people you're supporting with you and what is the end in your mind and how long or how far are you to reach the reach. That's why it is not a risky gamble, I would say. It is just a risky plan with known uncertainties and also the risk factors. But you should be very careful in aligning themselves according to your plan. And entrepreneurship is only found in small business. No, that is actually again one of the misconceptions. You look at Apple. Apple was one of the smallest enterprise which was started in the garage of the founder, but now it is one of the biggest asset holding company in the world with a lot of value added creation every day. And let's talk about some people say entrepreneurship. Can, sorry, any question?
No, continue, Chaitanya.
Sorry. So entrepreneurship and ventures and small business are the same thing. So this is something which I would like to bring up as a general point. Whenever you hear of somebody talking about the entrepreneurship, somebody talking about the ventures, both are two different things because entrepreneurship is being started by one individual because the idea has come from him. And then he's actually working around his idea, building an action plan, and achieving the end means. When we talk about the entrepreneurial ventures, those are completely different because it is not one person there, it is an organization or entity, legal entity or a legal body, which is acting for the common interests of the people. So this is something which is confusing in the modern world when we look at the examples which are coming on every day. I hope the fifth point is not clear, but I'm sure you will get to know in the last slides because the further explanation is given. Now let's look at the entrepreneurship mind. Okay, If you want to become an entrepreneur, first thing first, as I said, the idea, the analysis, the action plan, and then the commitment towards it. So to do all these things, you should be mentally decide in your mind that, okay, I'm strong, I'm looking for the opportunities, you are aware of the risks that you are going to take, and you are already committed to the result what you're getting out of those risks, because you know the complete picture, then only you will take the action plan. And that's the mindset an entrepreneur should have. Now let's look at the best example and one of the classical example which I always use, which is Airbnb. So for the Airbnb, it stands for Air, Bed, and Breakfast. So it was actually started in the US. It was not easy for the two young Joey Giba and Brain Chesky, who were met in Rose School of Design. So these were actually the classmates from School of Design, and they had some vacant space in their house. So due to the high rental rates in the US at that particular time, they didn't know how to cope up with the expenses they are going through. So that's why they thought of renting some space inside their house and creating a website called Air, Bed, and Breakfast. So you may have a question, why they have named Air, Bed, and Breakfast? Because the mattress, what they used for the first time in the common space, which was there, it's called Dio. The mattress was completely filled with air because it's just the air blown mattress, and they offered a breakfast to them, and that's it. So they have listed this on the site. They immediately, within 24 hours, got their first customer. So that is when the idea of Airbnb has completely evolved in the minds of these two young people at that time. But it was not easy for them. Even though they had an idea, the revenue was slowly started coming into their pockets. And then they decided to go to a Democratic National Convention, which was happening in the US. And then they have been there. Out of 15 angel investors who were there, everybody rejected their idea of proposition. And going to a convention in those days it's not that easy because it is so much expensive. You have to stay overnight in the hotels or the restaurants to attend the convention, to express your ideas, take the feedback, and go back. So whatever the money they have earned in the year 2007 with the first initial plan, they spent everything in 2008 attending the convention. So they lost almost everything and they were almost broke. They didn't know what to do. So they went back, they started reworking on their website and planned to attend another convention, which is happening just a couple of weeks ahead. So as I said, entrepreneur always thinks out of the box. They just looks for the opportunity to make things in his way. They didn't know what to do, how to secure money for this next convention. Apparently, there was an election happening at the same time in the US. So there was a very big election polls, and people were standing in the queues to show their support to the participants in the election. At that time, these two young people think about the US breakfast habit. So they always have cereal. So voting actually happens in the morning time of the day. So they plan to buy like bulk of cereals as a wholesale. Then they started dividing them into small packets. They have designed these labels for two different presidents with two different color codings. So they have packed pretty well like this. And they went to each of the election line selling these cereals, saying that, okay, whoever buys more of the blue, that means Obama is going to win. Whoever more buys red or orange, that means McCain's going to win. So this is how they came up with this idea, and it was really a bumper hit. And out of 2 to 3 weeks, they earned about 30,000 USDs just with a small idea. And they have used the same amount to rebuild their website, and they went back stronger this time. And now you can see their success story. So with 5.6 million listings in 220 countries and regions, according to September 2020, it is like growing enormous. And in 2022, they have made one of the biggest movement in the entire globe that no company has ever done. So this is the only company in the globe now who have offered 100% remote work policy, irrespective of wherever you are in the globe. So they don't have any physical offices, they don't have any physical properties assigned. Everything is completely online. So this is how they are going now. Now let's look at some more other examples, and then let's get back to the topic. What are the essential ingredients? Like people will, we just came to know, we saw different examples. We are going into different directions. Now let us connect all the dots at one point to understand the essence of the entire presentation. So the main ingredients are willingness to take the calculated risk, because if you don't know the risk, there is a probability that you may take or you may not take. But when you know the risk, but still you take it, so that is where the differentiating factor comes between a normal person or an entrepreneur. And then you should have an ability to formulate the team of your own, like how exactly the Mark Zuckerberg worked with his team to launch of Facebook, and now he's holding the Meta, the biggest social media platforms across the globe. And you should have a fundamental building of a solid business plan. As I said, the idea itself would kick out, but entrepreneurship is not just establishing a business, but you should be able to run it thoroughly, and you should make value out of it. Then only it is called an entrepreneurship. Or else it's just an idea which has started and ended or abandoned in between. And then you should have a vision to recognize the opportunity wherever you say chaos. Example, in 2020, we had a COVID across the globe, like COVID-19 pandemic. So most of the billions of businesses have been affected. So everything was chaos. But do you know how many million of businesses have evolved in the same year? According to the recent statistics of 2022, which was published in the US, 1.85 million businesses have been evolved just in the span of 6 months in US. So even in the chaotic situation, people found a number of ways to gain the means of their daily livelihood, and those businesses are actually supporting the economic origin of the country now. So that's a huge impact. So that's the importance of entrepreneurship becoming in the globe right now. So it's going to be huge, guys. And now, so how exactly the process would work? So when you talk about an entrepreneurship, you should have an idea. Yes, we already have an idea. And then you read what exactly just write down the idea, read the idea, collect the material, understand the content, just understand where is, like as is, like where we are standing, to be, where are we going. So if you're able to balance between where we are standing and where are we going to be in future, then actually you have already begun the entrepreneurial process. So that could be a starting a venture or managing a venture or starting your own business, etc., etc. This is how the process would work. Now, there are some common characteristics of entrepreneurs. So this is something which you can take an examples from Elon Musk, you can take from Steve Jobs, you can take from Bill Gates, you can take from Narayan Murthy from India, you can take a number of them. So these are the common traits which you can observe. First one is commitment, determination, and perseverance. Perseverance. Why? As I said, establishing a business is not enough. It's not the end. Running them, showing the commitment to run it, determination when you are going into losses, and then sticking to the same plan, just knowing what is coming up in front of your head and how are you negotiating that in terms of turning it into a positive returns. And then you should be driving yourself every day to achieve your success, and you should be very oriented towards the opportunity. You should be very acceptable or very welcoming towards accepting a feedback or feed forward. So there are two different terms. So feedback is something which is given after you perform some task. Feed forward is something which you will be given when you're about to perform a task. So that's the difference between a feedback or feed forward. So I believe those are two important things which has to be added in this characteristic page. And you should have really, really a lot big patience minded, because sometimes things don't go according to the plan. Not sometimes, every time, mostly, especially in the entrepreneurship world, because finding an investor is not easy. Even though you find an investor, they would come to you asking for equity sometimes in the profit. So I hope if you are if anyone of you follow the Dragon's Den or the Shark Tanks of India. Dragon's Den is from UK, by the way. So where you can see people coming with different ideas, coming with a structured plan, and then they have to sell themselves in terms of angel investors in front of them, and then they'll just dismiss the case for no reasons, because they are no longer interested in your presentation. So this is something which will kill your patience at one point, but you have to be really tolerant. So this is one of the important characteristics, I would say, for all the entrepreneurs out there. And then whenever you're taking a risk, the risk should be calculated, and you should have a high level of creativity and innovativeness. Like, I hope everybody have realized about this in the COVID pandemic times. And you should be always self-confident, and you should be optimism, and rest everything is actually self-explanatory. This is something which I personally suggest to all the young people coming from India when you're looking at the business or the job. So this is how the pit line or the pathway of success road would look like. But never ever give up. So I have put some funny statistics here, which you can see on the screen right now. So people say, okay, you are already 30 now, you're already 40 now, you're already 50 now, you cannot do anything in life, so everything is done. Just take the retirement money and just go somewhere. Or maybe people say, just why don't you do 9 to 5 job, take a fixed salary every month and just focus on your things. I think this could be the best response to them. Okay, you are 30 now, maybe you're going to live only 60 years, so you just have 30 years now. So it takes, example, 3 months for you to do a project, and then you multiply and you just have 240 shots in your entire lifespan. I'm considering the 30 years now because you are 30, imagine, and you just have 60 years of lifespan. That means you have 240 shots. That means you shouldn't even regret that you didn't had any opportunity. You have the opportunity every day in your life, but you are just failing to identify them and utilize as properly and as optimistic as you are. That's the first thing. And the second thing, always have your expectations very, very low, because the more expectations you have, the more pit you will fall into. Because success is not something overnight comes. So it should have a lot of perseverance, a lot of patience, and everything would come into picture at one certain point of time. Again, it deviates. Even at that point of time, you should be very calm, very patient. So I'll tell you one example here. So everybody knows Steve Jobs, like who's the founder of the biggest Apple. But do you know when he was launching Mac for the first time, he was supposed to face a failure because there was a technical glitch. Imagine at that point of time when Steve Jobs is about to go onto the stage to talk to the large audience, his technical team comes to him and says, sorry, Steve, there is a technical issue in our software, so it's not programming well. So could you please wait for half an hour or 1 more hour? So the entire expectations of what he had planned about that particular event had completely dropped down. But at that particular point of time, what Steve had done would definitely amaze you. If you ever had a chance, please go back and watch a movie called Steve Jobs or The Jobs, which was directed by the US director. It was really, really good. He explained everything very clearly. So in that movie, he takes only 1 minute time. He drinks a glass of water. He goes back to the stage, and then he asks his technician experts, like, how much time do you still need to launch this project to the large audience? They will ask for 25 minutes, I think. So in that 25 minutes, the Steve Jobs, who is on the stage, will try to build up the conversation with all the audience, everybody in the crowd, by saying these three things. One is, have you ever seen a mobile phone without a keypad? And the crowd goes crazy. And then he says, have you ever seen a mobile phone which can also play music? You don't need to have to carry a jukebox or a Walkman whenever you want to listen to some songs. Then crowd goes crazy. And then he says, have you ever thought that you can search internet online from your hands? You don't have to use any of the Windows laptops, a funny way. Everybody gone crazy. And then exactly at the 25th minute, there comes the screen opens and then the iPhone launches. So then he says, all the three things are together in this one device. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm launching iPhone. So this is the words he used. Always have the lower expectations, even though when you know you are going to fail, take your time, just take some pause, bounce back, try to adapt to the situation, try to adapt the audience language, try to adapt what exactly the audience state of mind is into, and then you start your game. Then you can be the best successful person ever. And also, you should always be very strong in your thinking capabilities. You should never think that you're down to some idea, no question, or no thought is stupid on the earth. Like thousands of years back, brushing teeth considered as stupid. Now everybody, everyday life, they do this. So it's okay. And sometimes you have to be very persistent in your task or in your idea, because things won't come easily. You will face a lot of difficulties, very common in life, but you have to be patient and you have to sit back, relax, analyze how to come out of the situation, act accordingly, and there you go, you can come in. There is one more thing called faking it. So when I was delivering this topic in one of the companies, so they asked me that you shouldn't pretend that you know thing when you don't know it. Let me tell you an important story here. Which animal is the king of the jungle? Like everybody says, lion. Is it the strongest? No. Is it the largest? No. Is it the tallest? No. Can it swim on the water? No. Then why? Elephant is the largest, the strongest, some kind of tallest animal, which could kill lion in just like 2 seconds. But what makes lion a king? What makes elephant as a lunch for lion or maybe the predator on the prey is the mindset. Lion always thinks that I am the king. And whenever the lion looks at the elephant, it only thinks of eating it. The opposite way. When the elephant looks at the lion, elephant thinks, oh God, predator, I'm going to be lunch for him. I have to run from here. So here, the factors of physical or the mental abilities are not at all considered. It's just the mindset. It's just the attitude that the lion possesses. It's just the attitude or the fear that the elephant possesses. So that's why, even though you don't have the confidence, at least show it on your face when you're doing it, or at least show it on your work. Because confidence comes with the hard work. Hard work comes with the idea or the passion which you have in it. And then everything will be great. And never ever compare yourself with anybody around you or with any idea what somebody else giving to you. Because the more you compare, the more you started thinking that your product is superior sometimes and sometimes inferior. If you feel superior, it will improve your ego at one point of time. If you feel inferior, you will lose your confidence again. So never ever compare. Like monkey can climb a tree, but fish cannot. But they have their own reasons, they have their own existence, right? So you cannot compare them. And when you're about to reach the final goal, you think like you have a big business plan, everything is ready, and you're about to present, and then you'll be like, you cannot do anything. Maybe there was a drawback in the meeting. Maybe you lost the presentation, what you have saved. Maybe you missed the data, what you're about to present. Even though everything was well and good enough, but the receiver who saw your presentation may say, okay, I'm not satisfied. But that's okay. So that is an indication that you are actually going in the right way. Next step is going to be the right successful path for you. So this is a kind of a lifeline, I would say, for everybody who think about entrepreneurship, where you may not feel depressed or down at some point of time. Guys, am I going too fast or am I going too slow? Because I don't hear anything, so I'm not sure I'm talking to audience or I'm talking to
No, no,
myself.
no. Chaitanya, we are really, listening, and
Okay.
I'm following the stories, and I could connect it.
Okay. Thank you.
I
Thank you very
have
much.
students sitting with me, and she's also listening. So I think you can go on. We are listening, and each
Okay.
of the stories I can. I'm so happy I can connect that in the classroom also.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Continue, yeah.
The way he meant.
So this is something which nobody wants to listen because it actually demotivates any of the entrepreneur or anything in personal life, because this slide will tell you the dark side of entrepreneurs. Trust me, there are some companies even today. I'm not sure if I can reveal those names because I'm working for them. Uh, they have a solid business plan. Everything is really good, pinned to the point. Their aim is clear. They have no competition at the moment. They have all the assets. They have collected all the information necessary. Everything is at the final stage. You know what? Even though they are at the final stage, when we do the analysis, we came to understand one understanding that what is written on the paper is far different from the practical world. You see, because as I said, risk is always uncertain, but some companies are trying to identify the uncertain risk and mitigate their measures to have the optimistic value for their returns. But sometimes, even though you have highest risk, as the financial term says, that when the risk is high, the profit expectations could be high. Sometimes, if the risk is high, of course, you will fall down to the pit as well. So when you start an enterprise in the terms of entrepreneurship or as an entrepreneur, I hope you know the difference. So Not every time you start a business, or not up to at least first 3 years, you see the positive returns. Because first of all, you are new. Only you know your idea, maybe your team, maybe your surroundings, maybe your neighbors, maybe your families. That's it. To know, to remove the idea from the brain to express to somebody, people may take 20 minutes. Now, to remember this idea, I'm psychologically speaking, now to remember this idea and to convey the same idea in the exact tone, the exact wordings to another person, it could take 1 day. So I'm just talking about one idea flowing from one mind to one person. Now imagine you just started your business. How do you think that the entire world would know your business in 2 years or 3 years with the booming profits or returns? No, that's not going to happen. Things never happen in business overnight. You should be very patient. So this is one of the biggest dark side which every entrepreneur would be afraid of. The first one. And the second point is career risk. So I'll give you an example. Everybody knows Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, the Meta owner now. He was dropped out of the university, because he was curious in coding. He was curious in designing something where he could bring his own college students in one particular platform so that they can talk to each other, like flirting, talking, exchanging the ideas, sharing the information. So in this kind of loop, he actually dropped from the university. He actually lost the career what his parents had thought of or dreamt of doing him. Because if he had continued his studies, he might have ended up in a very big firm working like for the millions paycheck. That's what the parents thought. But it turned positively towards him, even though he lost the degree. Recently, he got it, of course. Even though he lost the degree, at that certain point of time, the idea what he got had actually made him a billionaire now today. You see, so the career risk is also one of the dark side of the entrepreneurship because not every story is successful. As I said, like out of 100, 90 are failure stories. At now, recent statistics. I'm not talking about the past statistics. So again, there is a huge risk which you should be aware of, and sometimes family and social risk. So this is something even I have gone through personally, guys. Like recently, I started a YouTube channel just to bring out the facts about the abroad education to the people coming from India. um, you know some people look at my videos and they go to my family and they say, okay, your son or your daughter living abroad is doing a lot of videos on the internet. I don't think that is good for him. What people think about these things, these kind of comments have actually come on my family too. Imagine I'm a boy but still I got this comment, so I don't know how girls are actually coping up with this kind of situations. So you get these kind of things everywhere, especially when you're an entrepreneur, because you are not bound to 9 to 5 job. You're not bound to a paycheck. You are free to do things. You're just a mad crazy guy who is running behind something which only you are aware of until it is successful. So that is also one of the dark side of every entrepreneur. And then the psychic risk. So there is a report published by McKinsey in the year 2018, I believe. So they have collected the data of all the entrepreneurs across the globe to check where they were, like the academic profiles, the social profiles, and where they are. So it is sad to say 30 to 45% of the people have psychological disorders. And even Elon Musk is one of them. So this is also one of the dark side of the entrepreneurship. But still, sometimes these things would turn very positive if you're sticking to the action plan, if you're sticking to the end result which you already thought in your mind. I'm not demotivating you guys. I'm just giving you an insight that this is something which you should be aware of. And then this is the interesting, getting out of fear. So yes, fear is something really common in everybody's life, every day-to-day's life. So how do you overcome the fear? So act with the limited info. It is believed when you try to be in three different positions, like past, present, and future, your mind will act crazy. So when you're in one particular situation, cut out the past, cut out the future. Just act in that particular response on that particular period of time, whatever the information you have. And also don't respond. It is always, don't react. It is always suggested to respond. And always have your data ready whenever you're making a move in terms of your game plan or a business plan. Because without data, you will definitely end up in a pit. And you should always trust where you are going, because uh, if you are not trusting the destination would bring some importance to your life, then it's no point of going there, right? So trust where you're exactly going. and also trust your gut. Gut feeling sometimes really matters. I would tell you how. Everybody knows Tata, Ratan Tata, Sir Ratan Tata, sorry. So in the 90s, 80s, or 1960s, when the Tata company has getting booming into the vehicle industry, they wanted to sell out one particular part of their line, the automobile manufacturing line, to Ford company. They have humiliated him in a conference saying that you Indians cannot, you're not made for automobile industry. But did you guys know this? Like in recent years, Tata Group of Industries, Tata Automobiles have purchased Ford, Land Rover, Range Rover all together, and now they're aiming for Lamborghini as well. I don't know when the deal gonna end. So this is how it goes. Like you just have to have a gut feeling that you can do it. When somebody pushes you down that you cannot do it, always believe in your gut feeling, because as I said again, you have the plan, you know your plan, you know your idea. That's it. You just have to believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, anything is possible. And always be ready for the worst situations. Because if you think something positive going to happen in your life, what in case if it turns out to be negative? Then you are devastated in life. Vice versa. Think that worst may gonna happen. Be prepared for worst. And even though the worst happens, you're happy. It's okay. Because if you're depressed, if your mind is not relaxed and you cannot analyze what is happening in the situation, then you are just a bull without a rope. But if you're already prepared for the situation, if you know what is going to happen, then you are calm like a pigeon in your mind. So you sit back, you relax, and you analyze. Instead of reacting, you directly respond. And then realize the value of unscared. This is really important. There is a beautiful story depicted in the Oxford University, I think 2015. So there was a fish tank kept in the classroom. There were two fishes, okay? And they have kept a glass in the fish tank. And the fish always try to contact with each other, but there is a glass. So when they come fastly, they hit the glass, they go back. The same fish comes again, this side. So it happens all the time. So they almost gave up. They think, okay, there is an imaginary shield in the water which is pushing us away. So I don't think I can ever meet my friend again in this fish tank. So this is my house and that is his house. That is actually an experiment. After 1 week, the professor has lifted the glass. There was a fish which was trying whole night to go to the other side, and it has a lot of bleeding on his face, which is about to dead. It actually gave up of going the other side without knowing that the glass has been lifted the same night, just to test is it still scared or not. So apparently the fish didn't give up. It actually tried till its last breath to pass through the glass. And of course, the glass was lifted, and then the fish has come